You ever have that feeling like you're your own worst enemy? You know, like some part of you is just steering you right into self-sabotage? Well, it turns out one of the world's oldest philosophies actually drew up a map of these inner enemies. Today, we're diving into the Bhagavad Gita to uncover what it calls the three gates to ruin. These are the forces that honestly corrupt us from the inside out. And it all starts with the story of a legendary warrior who's about to have a total breakdown. So picture this. We're on the edge of a massive, world-changing battle, and there's Arjuna, probably the greatest warrior of his generation. But he's not looking very heroic right now, is he? He's completely paralyzed. He looks across the battlefield and sees his own family, his cousins, his teachers in the enemy army. And the very idea of fighting them just shatters him. He is completely and utterly lost. And in this moment of total crisis, he turns to his charioteer, who just so happens to be Lord Krishna in disguise. And he makes this incredibly desperate plea. This isn't just a soldier asking for a battle plan. No, this is a human being begging for some kind of fundamental clarity. And that cry for help, it's the spark that ignites one of the most profound spiritual conversations in history. So this begs the question, right? Is Arjuna's real enemy the army standing in front of him, or is the real battle happening somewhere else entirely? Krishna's answer is what's so brilliant. It shifts the whole focus away from the outer battlefield and onto the war that's raging inside Arjuna's own mind. And this is where we get to the core revelation. Krishna pulls back the curtain and shows that the most dangerous enemies you or I will ever face, well, they aren't people or bad luck. They are these powerful forces that live inside every single one of us. He literally calls them the three gates to hell, the direct path to our own downfall. Krishna does not mess around here. He points his finger directly at the source of all wickedness, the true adversary that Arjuna, and let's be real, all of us have to face. He's about to name the architect of so much of our human suffering. Now pay close attention to this because it's a direct cause and effect. The root of the whole problem, Krishna says, is desire, but not just any desire. He calls it insatiable and wicked. It's this bottomless craving. And then he says, when that burning desire gets blocked, when it's frustrated, it literally transforms. It shapeshifts into its destructive twin, wrath or pure anger. So here they are. This is the trio of inner demons. First, you have kama, that's uncontrolled desire or lust. Second, krodha, that's the fiery anger that explodes when kama doesn't get what it wants. And third, lobha, that's greed, the endless drive to hoard and possess. According to the Gita, these three aren't just bad habits. They are the wide-open gateways that lead directly to the ruin of the soul. You know, these ideas are so fundamental to the human condition that they're not just treated as philosophical concepts. In ancient Indian text, they're seen as these primal forces that have their own origin story, born at the very dawn of creation. That's how deep these run. And this is where philosophy and mythology just beautifully intertwine. The Bhagavad Gita gives us the psychological playbook for how these forces mess with our minds. But other texts, like the Brahma Purana, they give us a story of their birth, making them characters in the cosmic drama. It just goes to show how essential these enemies were thought to be, part of the very fabric of reality. Okay, let's break down that first gate, kama. This isn't just, wanting a cup of coffee. This is the engine of perpetual dissatisfaction. Think about the endless scroll on your phone or the constant need for the next gadget, the next vacation. That's modern-day kama. It's this deep, gnawing hunger that promises happiness is just one more thing away. But the thing is, it can never be satisfied. It's a fire that just screams for more fuel. And what happens when that fire of kama gets denied its fuel? Well, that's when you get krodha, anger. It is the direct, explosive result. You desperately want that promotion, you want that person's approval, or hey, you just want traffic to move. And you don't get it. All that wanting energy has nowhere to go. It turns toxic. Krodha is that energy lashing out. It's the literal child of frustrated desire. And the third gate is lobha, or greed. This is kama's cousin, obsessed with accumulation. It's all driven by this deep-seated fear that you don't have enough. It's that little voice that whispers, it's not enough, you need more, just in case. In our world, this isn't just about hoarding money. It's about obsessing over follower counts or collecting things far beyond what we could ever need, trapping us in this endless cycle of getting more. Okay, so that sounds pretty intense, right? We've got these three poisons, these gates to ruin. But the Gita doesn't just leave us there. It doesn't just diagnose the problem, it gives us a powerful antidote, a really practical way to shut these gates for good. So, what's the solution? Krishna calls it nishkama karma, which basically means selfless action. The instruction is simple but profound. Do your work, do your duty in the world, but completely let go of your attachment to the results. You focus entirely on doing the action well, not on what you're going to get from it. It's a subtle shift, but it starves those inner enemies of the very thing they feed on. And this chart just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? When you act with attachment, your motive is desire, it's greed, and the result is always going to be anxiety and suffering. Why? Because you're constantly worrying about the outcome. But when you act without attachment, your motive is just doing what's right. And the result? Peace, freedom. You're liberated from that roller coaster of highs and lows. So, what's the grand prize for winning this inner war? What does your life actually look like when you learn to operate without being a slave to desire, anger, and greed? Well, the Gita describes it as a state of supreme, unshakable peace. This right here, this is the ultimate victory. The person who gets here finds their joy, their contentment, not from anything outside themselves, but from within their own self. I mean, just think about that for a second. They are so whole, so self-contained, that the frantic need to do things to get happiness just dissolves. They are truly, completely free. So really, what this all points to is a state of inner mastery. The goal is to be free from that constant pull of wanting more, to stay calm and centered even when things go sideways, and to find this profound sense of contentment with life, just as it is. And that, of course, brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. Because this isn't just some ancient philosophy, it's a mirror for our own lives, right here, right now. So looking at this ancient map of our inner enemies, which one of these three gates, that insatiable desire, that flash of anger, or that nagging greed, which one feels like the biggest challenge in your world today? It's a pretty powerful question to sit with.